Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy January. I am so excited to be back to talk to you about Live2Lead, which is our leadership and personal growth event happening in Atlanta at MODEx Studio on February 20th. So we're a little more than a month away. And I'm really excited to bring back our Live2Lead Spotlight Speaker Series so that you can get a glimpse into the in-person speakers who are going to pour incredible value into you in February. And today's speaker is Aurea McGarry. And I want to tell you a little bit about Aurea. So Aurea and I met at a conference a little over 3 years ago. She has become one of my dearest friends. She is an incredible human. And let me tell you about some of her accolades. So Aurea is an Emmy Award winning TV host. She serves on the Emmy Board of Governors and as an Emmy judge. She is the founder of Legacy Living by Design. She empowers women to achieve their dreams at any age. Aurea is also the president of the Limelight Television Network and hosts Get Celebritized with Aurea McGarry, a podcast and TV show featured on Apple TV, Roku, and more. And I am honored that I was a guest on Aurea's show a few years back. Thank you, Aurea, for that. Aurea is also a TEDx speaker, an author, a cancer survivor, love that term. Aurea teaches podcasting for entrepreneurs and supports nonprofits through her inspirational journey. Her story has been highlighted on the 700 Club and in her 2021 TEDx talk, which you need to go watch after you hear from her today. Aurea, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, Stephanie, thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. You're so sweet. I'm listening to all that. I'm like, okay, I've done all this stuff. It sounds like you're talking about a different person.
It's so great to have someone else do that so that you can hear about yourself and really remember all of the accomplishments that you have and really the impact that you've made in the world and in the lives of others, right? Because you don't often get that opportunity. So I love that when people
you're right, Stephanie. Especially for
Take
women. You know, I run a women's group and we're so hard on ourselves. I mean, me included. We forget, to applaud sometimes the little things and then the big things because we're constantly always going for something greater and bigger as we should be. We never want to sit on our laurels, but as we're going for bigger and better and more, we do need to stop and remember what we've accomplished. Not to boast, but to say, wow, okay, we have down days going for our bigger dreams. We have days where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just failing. This isn't working. And we get really down on ourselves because we'll have days like that. So we need to stop and say, okay, look what I have done. Again, not to boast, but to make yourself know that you are accomplishing, you have done things, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just, raising some great kids or, having a job you love or being able to leave a job you hated and now you're an entrepreneur. Take the wins, but remind yourself of them or have somebody else remind you of them because we'll always have struggles, always.
Always. Well, and failure is part of success, right?
It is.
As one of our mutual coaches says, he said, if you're lucky, you'll have about 52 really great days a year. And his point when JT says that is not, to be negative, but to realize the reality that, part of success and is struggle. And to kind of right set that. But back to what you were talking about is, reminding yourself of what you've accomplished or what you've done or who you are. That just ties back to having an attitude of gratitude, right? So even on our worst days, there's always something that we can be thankful for. In fact, I have a gratitude jar that a really good friend gave me. And I use that at holidays and stuff and pass out the little cards and they go in the jar. And so it's a great opportunity, not only for me to pull something out that talks about gratitude, but to remind my family, hey, this is what you said you were grateful for. So little things like that can go a long way.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's dive in. I want to ask more about you and have everybody really learn about you and what you do. So specific to Live2Lead, Tell us your session topic for this upcoming Leadership and Personal Growth Day, and more about your area of influence as a leader.
Okay, great question. Well, for one, I'm not going to give it all away here. I really want people to show up and come because God's given me a gift of being spontaneous. Even though I will have a title and we will talk about living your best legacy. And do go, if you watch my TEDx, you'll see a little bit more about the fiber of my being and why I'm so passionate about helping others live their best legacy. And like you said, having gratitude and using the gifts God's given us. And that changes. We go through a lot of changes in our life. So being able to be spontaneous, be able to try new things. But if you come, that's going to be the best part of what all of us speakers can share with you as you're doing these wonderful interviews, Stephanie, with the speakers that are coming to this event. The magic and the juicy part of it will be showing up. So if you can, do everything you can to show up in person. I'm not saying that just to buy a ticket. I'm saying that because magic happens when we all connect in person. Magic happens when we're there and we've got to get up and go to the restroom. And ladies, we're like, I'm going to go to the restroom. You want to come with me? And like 5 of us go together. Well, that walk to the restroom, and in that restroom, we solve each other's problems, plus the world's problems. I'm just saying, you don't get that on a Zoom. You won't meet those people if you don't come. So the biggest sweet spot to this event that you're doing, Stephanie, is one, all the incredible speakers you brought together in one room, and to come and be in that room together. I have met, like you and I met at an event in person. So I really want to encourage everybody. The pandemic is over. And if you can get back on planes, back on trains, in your car, we want to meet you. We want to get to know you. But my presentation is going to be about living your best legacy to help others to live it on purpose. And we're going to dive into a little bit about what your dreams and goals are and help you reignite your wildest dreams. Those dreams that people said, oh, you don't want to do that. Or, somebody else is already doing that. Or you're too old. Why don't you just go into retirement? We all get all that bombarded on us all the time. Women, especially, we get a lot of that, especially when we're over 40 too. They say, why don't you jest? Why don't you just not tell me to jest? You need balcony friends. So I promise you, if you come and get in the room with us, you're going to meet some new balcony friends. And what a balcony friend is, Stephanie's one, I'm one, and it's going to be a room full of new balcony friends, is when somebody is down. We don't say, oh, that wasn't really a good idea anyway. I'm sorry that didn't work out, Well, better luck next time. We say, how can I help? What can we do? You got this. Let's do this. There's a way to figure this out. Over, under, around, or through. Do you really want this to work? Is this your dream? You want this? Okay, let's do it. You know what? I know somebody that can help you. We're pulling you up. We're not bringing you down, letting you wallow in your, failure at the moment. Say, yeah, you're right. That wasn't for you. You want it, we're going to help you get there. And I've experienced that in my lifetime. And I'm at a certain age where I've had a lot of experience. When you have balcony friends, you can accomplish amazing things.
Absolutely. And, just to reiterate, every single one of you that has agreed to come be an in-person speaker at this event, I met at an event. Every single one of you. Some of you within the last, 2 or 3 years, some of you, 10, 15 plus years ago, and you have all made a positive, indelible mark in my life. And if I hadn't gone to those events, I never would have made these connections, which is incredible. And if I think about even my network, right? So as I left the corporate world and I had all of those fantastic connections within the company that I worked for 21 years, I was blessed that my company supported my involvement in a large national industry organization while I was still at the company. And I'm so incredibly thankful for that because I have connections across the country that were made through participating in this large national industry association. And so when I left my company, I still had those connections, but I also had this really broad network of people that I'd met, again, at meetings and conferences that I'd been able to do meaningful work with or have meaningful conversations that are not just business connections, but some
Mm.
real, lasting, lifelong friendships. And so I cannot agree with you more that showing up and being in the room and attending events, I mean, you could meet one person
Mhm.
that could positively impact and change the trajectory of your future.
And now think
Just
about school. Remember when our kids had to be homeschooled? And to us, that was a nightmare because it's very lonely. You're lonely as a parent trying to do this on your own, thinking you're all alone. The child, and this is our experience. There's a lot of successful homeschoolers out there. We were not one of those. It really was hard for us. We're people, we learn with others, we learn visually, we learn with the community. It's just the way we are. And I felt very alone as the mom trying to teach my daughter, high school, really not my forte, right? Could have done it maybe if she was in kindergarten. I get it. But also being there trying to learn alone, looking at a screen, and think about entrepreneurs trying to be successful on your own in front of a computer screen, taking another course, maybe having a coach on the phone, just everything alone in your office, in your home office, and you're not out there being able to have those conversations. I felt that same way. You know what I found? What worked for me? It's those side conversations you're not getting by constantly focusing online on your computers, on your tablets, on your phones alone. So
Yeah.
we were meant to go through this life together. And I just love events and I have missed them. And I just can't wait because I haven't been an in-person speaker on a stage in a while. I've attended a lot, but now it's time to get back on the actual stages now. So I'm really excited, Stephanie, that you're doing this. And I'm really excited it's in my backyard.
I know, in Atlanta, where you are. So excited. All right. So my next question to you, Aurea, first of all, thank you for saying yes when I asked you to, be part of this event. Can you tell us why was it important to you to say yes to Live to Lead and be part of this event in Atlanta on February 20th?
Great question. Well, one thing is when you have balcony friends, and Stephanie, you're definitely one of my balcony friends. We've built this relationship, and that's what all entrepreneurs need to do, building these relationships. So when you need something or when somebody needs you, you say yes because of the relationship first. You could ask me to pretty much do anything having to do with business and events, support you, and I will say yes because we built that friendship. And you're an amazing business owner, Stephanie. I know your work ethic. I'm very particular on stages that I say yes to because I've been to some not organized, events. I've been to ones that were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm being a part of this because it's just not done well. I know you do things with excellence. I've seen your work. So it's an automatic yes for you, Stephanie, because one, you're amazing and professional. This Live to Lead is also, if you want to tell them a little bit about the history of this Live to Lead, who started this, I'll let you do that. But I know you're connected with great people. You already have a roster of amazing people I respect already on the stage. So as a business entrepreneur, I want to share stages with other great people. So I was like, yeah, I'm in because I'm very particular about the circle of people I am on stages with. And these are them. These are the pièce de résistance. And so, Stephanie, I'd love you to just tell us a little bit about Live to Lead and its history, because I think it's really important because they're going to love it.
Awesome. Thanks, Aurea. So if this is your first time joining us for one of our Live to Lead Speaker Spotlight interviews, I do want to tell you a little bit more about Live to Lead. So as I mentioned, it is a leadership and personal growth one-day event in Atlanta on February 20th. But if you can see behind me, Live to Lead is a Maxwell leadership event. And we are in our 11th year of offering Live to Lead to over 300 global locations worldwide. This is my very first year to host Live to Lead, which I'm super excited about. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey and my business as a transformational leadership, change management, and resiliency consultant, speaker, and executive coach, I aligned myself with Maxwell Leadership. And so what that means is I am certified to facilitate Maxwell specific licensed content around those topics: leadership, managing change, and resiliency. I'm part of the mentorship group. I'm also an executive program director. And as a Live to Lead host, I am specifically licensed to bring you content that was created only for people who attend Live to Lead events. And so our speakers change annually. But for this event, I am thrilled. We actually have more speakers than ever. You'll hear from 4 of them during our in-person event, and then there will be a bonus opportunity for you to hear from the other 4 after the event. So during the event, in addition to Aurea and all of our wonderful speakers who will be pouring value into you in person, you will hear from John C. Maxwell, the man himself.
Can I just tell them, in case they don't know what
Yes.
John Maxwell is, if you haven't read a John Maxwell book and you're an entrepreneur, I don't know where you've been. I mean, just his books were a staple when I was in Mary Kay back in the day. He came personally and trained us. So I've met him in person. He is incredible. And I love one of his books was Great Leaders Ask Great Questions. I'm going to leave it at that because he has written how many books?
He's
Stephanie?
written 90 books.
90 books. You'll have to just Google Amazon, John Maxwell books. You will see a plethora of books that are incredible. So he is somebody that everybody needs to read, at least one of his books, and you'll be hooked.
Absolutely. In fact, his most recent book, High Road Leadership, is the book that we modeled our theme for this Live to Lead event after. And so our theme is bringing people together in a world that divides. And so we will actually start off the day hearing directly from John Maxwell. You'll hear from our in-person speakers on a panel. And then I have 3 other powerhouse speakers that you'll hear from. Shantae Lowe, who is a 4-time Olympian and gold medalist. You'll hear from John Gordon, who is a consultant for major sports teams and other companies. He's written a book that many of you may have heard of called The Happy Bus. And then last but not least, you'll hear from Michael Jr., who is a motivational speaker and comedian who uses humor to help people find their purpose in life. He and his wife also help couples to strengthen their relationships using purpose and humor. So powerhouse, valuable speakers, you will be blown away. And then, of course, you'll hear from all of our in-person speakers with everyone bringing, what their unique gifts are and purpose to you to help you elevate yourself as a leader and elevate other leaders when you go back. But all of us will be tying it to the theme of bringing people together in a world that divides. So
and that really just
super excited to have you there for that.
Well, I'm really excited. That kind of answered my question. So now going back to why I said yes, can you see why I said yes to being part of this incredible lineup? Stephanie, I got a quick question for you. Will those who buy a ticket, will they be able to get the replays? Is there any special bonuses on that?
So there will not be a replay of the licensed content because of our licensing agreement. So that's another reason to be in the room because you don't want to miss it. However, there will be a bonus opportunity after the event that will be virtual, where you will get to hear from the 4 other speakers. Those are Malcolm Gladwell, which if you haven't heard of Malcolm Gladwell, I'm surprised, but we have a specially, produced segment from Malcolm Gladwell. Also 2 of our Maxwell Leadership faculty, Valerie Burton and Chris Robinson. And then last but not least, Brandon Dawson. So I know I'm running through some of this quickly, but you can actually go to our Live to Lead landing page, which I'm going to put down here in the ticker in just a moment. We have additional videos from our in-person speakers. We also have a video so that you can learn a little bit more about these incredible global thought leaders who you'll be hearing from. And then you can also get ticket information and pricing. So thank you for that, Aurea.
Absolutely. Well, it all goes back to why I said yes. This is like a no-brainer.
Yes.
It's going to be so much fun. Such a great way to start the new year. Whether you're in business, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working 9 to 5 and just you have a dream, this will be the place where you never know who you're going to meet or what somebody's going to say from the stage that is just what you needed, sometimes to make that next small step that you need to make, or that next biggest, best next step you need to take. We just don't know. So I just the type of person, I show up and let God do what he's going to do.
That's awesome.
You show up, you go up. Love that one.
All right. And there's the landing page.
Leading.
Okay. So my next question for you, Aurea, tell us a core leadership principle for you. What's one core leadership principle that you have that you can share with others?
Listen more than you talk. Leading by example. I never tell my students to do something that I haven't already done or that I'm not currently doing. They'll see through you. Again, especially women. I work with mostly women. You can't fool them. You can't say, yeah, you go do this, this, and this, and I'm over here doing the exact opposite or not doing it or not have done it. So I love leading by example. So I love staying busy doing. But it's really important. You've probably heard this a million times. Live it to teach and lead with honesty and integrity. I let all my students know that, hey, you're going to work with me. I talk fast. I dream big. I am not a detailed person. You're not going to get documents from me and spreadsheets. I say that is my weakest point. So if you're looking for all of that, not going to come from me. You can do it on your own. Yay. But I'm going to be that cheerleader, that one that's going to help you dream big enough so we can strategize you achieving those dreams. So it's all about being honest with your world, with your community, with the people you're leading. Let them know this is who I am. I love The Greatest Showman movie, and I love that song, This Is Me. And if you can utilize that mantra, that theme song, that this is me. I have faults. I have shortcomings. You don't have to look far to say, oh my gosh, can't believe Aurea did that. It's just me, but I will never lie to you, hurt you on purpose, do anything that's not of integrity. I'm really very honest and very like, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find somebody that does. I don't have to be the one that has all the answers. So in a nutshell, just the best leadership quality that I feel that I have is just being honest. Can I help you? Yes. No. I think Stephanie can help you better. She's got all that in a nutshell. That's not my strongest suit. So I know my lane. I know what I'm great at. And what I'm great at, I love doing. And I know what I'm not great at. And I can delegate that out. And that's another reason, Stephanie, I love to collect friends, balcony friends. So when I can't be the person that person needs, I have a roster of people that say, I know 5 people that do that can help you. Why don't you talk to all 5 and see which one suits you best? Because I'm also big in my leadership that personality matters. You could find 10 people that all can do the same thing for you, but you've got to look at them. You got to talk to them, see which one has that right personality, that right way that they do things. Again, in my personality, I talk fast, I go fast, I've got high energy. That may not be right for everyone that wants to start a podcast. Might need somebody that slows it down, that does have all the spreadsheets, that has everything detailed out, that has written 5 books on it. And I say, you know what? I know somebody who does it that way. Both doing the same thing, but the way it's given to you does matter because we all learn differently as well. So know your strengths, be honest with everyone, and move forward that way. That's just what I do. That answers your question.
Yeah, well, I think that's great. And, I am an assessment geek, right? So even before I started off in business, I, was a teenager and doing the MBTI.
I was a teenager too.
Yeah. But I was leveraging MBTI and those types of assessments, even as a young person. And with my clients, I'm also a DISC consultant through Maxwell Leadership. And I've been leveraging and facilitating Clifton Strengths for the last 15 plus years. And so I loved what you were saying, because that's exactly what we should be doing as leaders and really as individuals for personal growth, right? We first need to understand what are our strengths, what are our communication preferences, how do we show up in the world, and then really lean into those strengths, because you can try your best to improve, and we should all, life is a continual, journey of improvement, right? But you can be anything you want to be as long as it's more of who you already are.
Mhm.
You cannot and should not try to be someone different, because it's actually, based on the statistics, impossible. And so
Mhm.
I think that's where people falter sometimes. They're like, oh, well, I'm really good at this, but I'm not good at this, and I need to focus on what I'm not good at. And
Yeah.
we've
Oh,
learned that historically through school. I'll give you one example where left-handed kids were forced, or they
fine.
tried to teach them to write right-handed, which is really a losing battle, right?
It really
What we
is.
should be doing is taking people and really identifying what is their genius zone, what are their strengths, and then leveraging that and giving them more of that, because they're going to be faster, more proficient. There's going to be more flow. But exactly as you said, there are things inherently that we're just either really not good at and never will be, no matter
Mhm.
how hard we try. We might get incrementally better, but it's not going to be by a
Know
lot.
enough to know what needs to be done, but we don't want to be the one
It's
to
going
do
to
it.
take us longer. We're going to get frustrated, all the
Mhm.
things. Instead, exactly as you said, is what I work with my clients on. We need to understand what are the strengths of others and what are their lanes and what are their leadership domains, and how do we create a bridge and a partnership so that we can lean into that. And so the message is not to be a well-rounded person,
Mhm.
but to create well-rounded alliances and
I love
connections.
that. Yes.
Right? Love that. Love,
Stephanie,
love, love.
I love it. And Stephanie, you said the disc. So when we're talking about that, I'm definitely a high I, but when it comes to business, I've got the D in there. I will never have the C. And I know some people know what we're talking about. C is very detailed. But when it comes to living that balanced life, I love that you said that. Many times we need to hire the right personality of get things done that we don't do. I need to hire the detailed person. I need to hire
Yeah.
the one that can have it all together. And Ray, you need to be doing this and don't forget about that. Oh, great. I've had some really good assistants in my time that were so detailed. If I had hired another high energy, high personality person, we would get nothing done, right?
No, you
So
would have
you have to,
loved them,
I
but you wouldn't
know,
have
love them.
accomplished what you needed to accomplish. Yeah.
And John Maxwell, speaking of the man himself, when he came and spoke to us one time in Mary Kay, well, we're talking, I think it was in the beginning of the turn of the century, which makes me sound old. The turn of the century, or it might have even been in the 90s, but I'll never forget he told that story of the wild animals with the rabbit trying to swim and the owl trying to run. And y'all can probably look up this story, but the folk tale is with the animals going to school one day and the teacher trying to teach the rabbit how to swim better, the owl to come down off the perch and run the race, blah, blah, blah. And went home defeated, feeling like they were a failure until the day came around where it was running day for the rabbit, who nailed it, and flying day for the owl, and he nailed it. So John Maxwell said, why are we spending so much time trying to teach the rabbit how to swim when that's a sinking ship? And the owl, why bring him down off the perch to make him run a mile when he can soar and fly and be successful? So I never forgot that story when he told me that. Find your lane. Doesn't mean not to improve in things maybe we need to be a little more organized, great. But do I need to do my
Right.
taxes? No. But can I get things more organized for my accountant? Yes.
Yeah,
I think that makes
100%.
sense.
In my kids' pediatrician's office, there's one room that has a blue wall and a quote that's very similar, but it says, if you try to teach a horse how to climb a tree, he's going to spend his entire life feeling that he's not good enough.
Yep. For
I
sure.
love that. I love it. Okay,
I do
so
too.
my next question for you is, aside from what you've already shared with us, Aurea, which has been great, thinking about our listeners and the people who are coming to the event, what impact do you hope to see from this event on others?
Oh, well, when they come, I truly hope, and this has always been my dream and the reason why I did events, why I did my show and my podcast. God gave me this vision and this mission. Sorry, swallow wrong. When I had cancer back in 1999, when they removed half of both my lungs, my thymus gland, the lining around my heart, disconnected half my diaphragm, and took out my vocal cord nerve, told me I'd never speak again. And I woke up on that gurney with tubes coming all out of me. And I just remember when I got that news, they said the good news is you have cancer and it's curable. Bad news is we had to do all of that. And God just clearly gave me a vision then that I was going to give people hope, that I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what the heck he meant at that moment, but somehow this situation, I was going to be able to turn around and give people hope. And I've never stopped walking in that lane many, many different ways, writing the book and doing the events and doing the television, which gave people hope. So I hope that when I'm on that stage, that whoever can get into that room, and I hope you can, will leave there with hope that why not you? God's no respecter of person. What he's done for me and for others, he can do for you. But he does ask something of us. Yes, a lot of us. One thing he does say is in Proverbs 16:3 is put your hand to do and he will bless it. So we've got to do the work. Sometimes just showing up. So he has something to bless. So I've always just been the one to, I'll show up. Let me give this a whirl. Let me see if it's going to work. And then all of this behind me had happened because I said, well, what's the worst that can happen? So in a nutshell, I hope my impact is giving people hope that why not them? Instead of saying, why me? Why me? Why am I not successful? Why am I not where I want to be? How about why not you? If Aurea is up there and she can do it, and I'm not even supposed to be able to talk, and I'm the farthest thing from perfect, I just have the attitude is, why not me? Why can't I win an Emmy? Why not? You know, we are all in this world together, but we get it in our head, like you just said about the horse. If you're spending your whole life trying to climb the tree and you're a horse, you're going to think you're a failure. So maybe you just need to pivot to do something that you're great at, but somebody's telling you, no, you need to keep doing this. Sometimes it's just a little pivot. So giving them hope, and I know, I'll guarantee you, everybody that comes, you're going to get strategies from these speakers that'll help you take action on the hope I will give you. I can guarantee you that. Because, okay, you can have all the hope in the world, but if you don't know how to make the next step, you're still lost. So we really want to give you hope, inspiration, because that's first. You're not going to do anything unless you believe you can. That's where I come in. Then you're going to get strategy. That's the missing link. That's what I need to work on. Oh, my gosh. That's it. So I promise you, aha moments, balcony friends, inspiration, hope, and strategies. And I don't even know all what people are speaking, but I know what Stephanie kind of shows she's going to put on. And John Maxwell, tried and true. It's going to be amazing. So believe that you can do it. You need the belief. Otherwise, nothing happens.
I love that. Okay, so I want you to repeat that one more time because I'm typing it in. Aha moments, balcony friends, inspiration and hope. Did I get that?
Yeah, and strategies.
Yes, thank you.
Strategy. How you're typing and doing at the same time. Good multitasking.
I know. Well, and I don't have my glasses on because I wanted to look better. So I'm going, what?
You look great in glasses.
Thank you. All right. So my next question for you is, and you've already mentioned some of this, but go ahead and just tie in or add on, right? What value, Aurea, will you bring to leaders to take back to their team? So you really just mentioned that in terms of balcony friends, inspiration, hope, and strategies. But maybe tell us a little bit more. I'm curious to hear. How did you go from, these challenges that you had, and you shared, you had this aha moment that I was going to take that. And, I talked to Jason a few weeks ago and his challenges and struggles that he's had in life. And I love it when people use their test as their testimony and their mess as their message, right? But how did you go from such a life-changing, scary time to becoming an award-winning TV host? And how can that journey sort of help people that are going to hear from you?
That's a wonderful question, Stephanie, because do you realize next month in February, I will be cancer-free 25 years.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. And the reason I said that is because when I told you about the tubes coming out of me and all of that, that was on my 38th birthday. Okay, you can do the math, figure out my age. On my 38th birthday, I was given that, as my day. That was, okay, you have cancer and let's take all this out. But you're looking at me now, 25 years later. This 25-year journey that I've had is day by day, And the biggest thing that people find out about me, this may or may not be for you, but even when I did TEDx, in TEDx, you don't talk religion and you don't talk politics. But anytime anybody has me speak or do anything, they're going to know that my world and the reason I'm able to do anything is my faith comes first. And I just let go and let God. That's what works for me. So when God gave me that, you're going to give hope. Well, I didn't know what he meant. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I started putting one foot in front of the other. And what that looked like was ideas started coming to me, and I would lean into it because God's already put inside me all my talents and all my wishes. Because when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a rich and famous movie star. I lived in New York City. I went to acting school, sing, dance, a whole 9 yards, did soap operas in New York City, so that was already in my DNA. So he wasn't asking me again to be an accountant. That's not what he was doing. He was watering what he knew. I already knew how to do, already had the gifts and talents to do. So as I got the idea to write the book and go on the book tour, the bug to be on TV again, because I was on all the news shows, was like, oh, I love being in the TV studios again. But here's what was missing was when I did all these news shows, I did like probably 40 news shows on my book tour. Every time, you all know this if you watch the news, every time I went to be on this show, before I went on with my bubbly personality and giving people hope, I won't survive, I'll thrive, there'd be these devastating news stories about a strange husband going to his family's house and shooting them all and killing himself. And that's a true story. And I just remember asking God, saying, God, there's more people in this world that are doing good than shooting up their family. But we can hear about that every single day, right? So I said, I'd love to be the voice of hope. So fast forward to when I started my TV show. That's what won me the Emmy for spotlighting nonprofits, good people making the world a better place, which turned into my Live Your Legacy Summits. Same thing, but in-person events. So here's my tip. Start walking. Put one foot in front of the other. If I were to say now, looking back, when I was on that gurney with the tubes coming out, I knew all this was going to happen. I knew nothing. I just knew I had a calling to give hope, and I started walking it out, getting the ideas daily, taking risk, starting a TV show. I'd been on shows. I'd never produced my own, but I just felt it really strong inside. I'm supposed to do this. So my attitude was, what do I have to lose? If I fail, I fail. I think that's key, Stephanie. And now that I'm talking this out loud, I think one of my key strategies is I'm not afraid to fail. It doesn't bother me to follow my faith. I don't care. If I try, at least I can say when I'm old and gray and in the nursing home, I can say, I gave that a whirl. Wasn't good at it, but I tried that. I don't mind failing. So that gave me a lot of risk taking, which a lot paid off. A few things didn't pay off, and that's okay. So I hope that helps.
I think that's such a powerful mindset, because so much of what holds people back is the fear of failure, which oftentimes is rooted in perfectionism. And as a recovering perfectionist, I can attest to that, right? So one of the mantras that, I sort of was reminded of when I became an entrepreneur, you're kind of starting over. So everything that I knew in the corporate world, while a lot of it translated, some of it didn't. And so, I went from a place of really being comfortable and confident in what I was doing because I was doing it for so long, to being an entrepreneur. And even though I truly did know what I needed to do, there was this sort of recovering perfectionist voice in my head that was like, oh, but I have to get it just so or just right. And our mutual coach, he's like, okay, you know what you're doing. Your problem is that you're trying to make it too perfect, and it's never going to be. Done is better than perfect. Exactly. And I love that sentiment. Not that you should just haphazardly do things.
Right. Don't want to put out bad stuff.
It's okay to get started and for it not to be perfect, because you actually learn from both yourself and feedback from others to make it better the next time. Your next version can be even stronger. But if you don't get it out there, you're doing both yourself and the world a disservice, because you're holding your gifts close to the vest, that there are other people out there who need what you have to offer. And, oftentimes, you're the best person to help them through a challenge because you can relate to it. John has said this, and some other motivational speakers as well. But I love the concept of you're the perfect person to help versions of your former self.
I love that.
I love that.
That's really
Yeah.
good, actually. And feel the fear and do it anyway. And you're right, Stephanie, it's that perfection that will hold you back. The DISC personalities, and the C's are the hardest ones to get them moving, because all the I's have to be dotted, all the T's have to be crossed, everything needs to be laid out. And for me, who's like the opposite of that, it'll drive me crazy. I'm like, just start, because everything I've done, I've learned by making mistakes, or I've learned by doing, I don't like that, let's change it. So if you can be be a little bit more flexible, if you are really a detailed person, a perfectionist, you can be a little bit more spontaneous, put out something good, start something, and then just know you can make it better and better as you go to get to your perfection that you want to get to.
Right.
And surround yourself with good people that can help you as well. But if you're waiting for perfect, none of us are. And if the pandemic did anything good, it was so many people now don't have to be perfect. I mean, if you can have any product, any service, any coaching, and get online now, and you can be in your pajamas, you can be lying in bed. I've seen videos go viral, and they're lying in bed, get the pillow behind them, and they're just talking to you with no makeup on, hair on a bunch, and the dog comes over and walks over them or whatever. And what they're saying, though, is so amazing or so funny or so good. So you do not have to be a perfectionist. And I know it's a personality trait. So if you can just start watching people that are doing what you want to do, and kind of be a little bit more fearless to fail forward to success a bit, and know that whatever we're doing, we can count on one thing too, which is change. We're always going to have to change, always have to pivot, always have to, kind of reinvent ourselves or make things a little bit better or different. And some things we do will hit the nail on the mark, and we're like, yes. And other things we're going to say, that wasn't good. We all go through it. And our coach, JT, will say the same thing. Sure, he's made investments that were just right on the money, and others, well, that one didn't work. It's okay. You wouldn't have the big wins if you didn't have the failures and ones that didn't work out. And you know what? Nobody's keeping track of your failures. We think so much of ourselves that somebody's tracking every time I fall down. Nobody's tracking. I know some of you might have a family member or something, but that's okay.
And even if someone is, that's okay too, because that feedback, even from the most negative naysayers, it's actually can be helpful if you think of it that way. But something else something else that you said about failing forward. So that's another one of John Maxwell's books. And it's such a great concept. And what we're talking about, every single person that I've interviewed who is either a celebrity or a highly successful, influential business person, they all have had multiple failures.
Yes.
The difference and why they either became successful or lost everything and became successful again is because they didn't give up. And they knew that failure was just part of the game. And they were going to learn from that failure. And like you said, pivot, and something else better would come out of that. Right. So it really is that growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. That's such a huge.
Really is. And if you want to boost today, if you feel like you failed too many times, you just, Google successful people that have failed, and you'll get a list of people that you will recognize, and dive in, read out some of their failures. Read the J.K. Rowling's failures. Read the Mark Victor Hansen failures, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Because sometimes you need to read about the failures. They're like, okay, they can do it. I can do it. Wow, they failed 250 times. They got rejected. I just got rejected 5. We think 5 is just like crazy. We did that a lot of Mary Kay as well. People, get some no's. Like, oh my gosh, everybody said no. Really? So you've talked to everybody in your city. There's 7 million people in Atlanta. I'm impressed. All of them said no. It's like, well, no. So who did you ask? And sometimes it's how did you ask or whatever. But there's so many success stories. People got 89 no's in a row, no matter what it is you're asking for. But that 90th one that said, I'll give that a whirl, changes your life. But most people don't get to 10 no's or 15 no's, never mind 20 or 30 no's.
They give up. There's a great sales book out there, and this may not be the exact title, but it's same concept, and it's called Go for the No.
Okay.
So meaning you keep asking, you keep
make a
trying
game
to
out of
sell,
it.
you keep following up until you get a firm no. And even then, you still follow up later, because their no may just truly mean no, not today, no, not this week, no, not this month, but it could be a yes 6 months from now or a year from now,
We
right?
used to use
Love
this
it.
scenario if I offered you a piece of gum today, Stephanie, and you say no, thank you. Well, one, you're not rejecting me. It's like, oh, she doesn't like me. She's rejecting my gum, so she doesn't want the gum. But if I ask her that a week from now, she might be dying for a piece of gum. Might be the right time to step for a piece of gum, and you say yes. But either way, it's not a rejection on you. It's just what you're offering. It's not the time, not the right space for them. And we can get into a whole sales thing, but we won't. But just don't be afraid of no's. Don't be afraid of rejection, and don't be afraid of failure. I think that's what stops most people who will never be successful, because they're just not willing to put themselves out there. So if you can find some balcony friends that will, be there and cheer you on, because we can't do this alone. Please know that you cannot sit home alone and, accomplish everything you're meant to accomplish. You need a good circle of people in your life. Even if it's one good person right now, start there. Somebody that can cheer you on.
Absolutely.
And then you cheer them on, because people need you as well.
Yeah. And so one of our other speakers, similarly, she was talking about, and we've all, I think, heard this, but it's worth repeating. You are most like the 5 people closest to you in your circle, right? And it's so important to have a circle and to curate your circle so that it is full of people who are going to get you closer to achieving your goals or the best version of yourself. And similarly, that you're doing that for them, right? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And as humans, we are built for connection, like you said earlier. And it's great that we have these awesome tools, and I can see your face when you're in Atlanta and I'm in Austin, but nothing replaces that in-person opportunity to connect, because it's not just this interview, for example, or the speakers, but it's those opportunities that happen in between, where you share an aha moment with someone, or a smile, or a brief conversation in between sessions where you both are like, oh my gosh, that impacted me so much because of this. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe so-and-so who I know. Like, you cannot replace those amazing opportunities for connection.
And I just heard on the news, we're here in Atlanta, and you guys, if you're coming to the Atlanta airport, if you're flying in Delta, it's Delta's hub. And I just heard on the news last week, we have this guy, Clark Howard, who is our economist, helps you save money. He said in January is the best time to get flights right now. And I forgot why he said it was, but it was. And I remember taking note of that. So right now is the best time if you want to fly into Atlanta to get your tickets. That was just a little side note. I remember him saying
that's awesome. I actually just got mine because I'm in Austin, and so Southwest is a big airline here in Texas, and I know Delta's big in Atlanta, but Southwest was doing a special for like $49 flights. I've spent a little bit more than that, but I mean, I got an incredible deal to Atlanta. The event is at MODEx Studio, which is in the Buckhead area. There are tons of great hotels if you need a place to stay overnight.
Yeah, lots of Ubers and lots of good stuff going on. Lots of great
Lots of great stuff.
All right.
So, Aurea, I'm going to ask you, this is kind of a combined question, and, fill in the gaps with whatever maybe we haven't touched on yet. But what value will you bring to leaders to take back to their teams? So not just the leaders who are coming to the event, but, our goal for this event is to not only help leaders elevate where they are, but to help leaders elevate other leaders. So how are you going to do that?
Well, that question has to be answered with come to find out, only because I could say a million wonderful things right now, but the way God works with me is when I'm live in person, whether I'm doing television or on stages, God pours into me, and it seems like it's exactly what the people that show up needed to hear. I could give you all sorts of strategies right now, and the leaders are going to go back and be better leaders because, and help their leaders rise up. But I'll tell you, you won't know until you get there, because I won't know until I get there. It's a very special gift that I have that I'm sure others may have, but I've started to really embrace on that just in the last 5-8 years, that, wow, God really does that for me. Because I may be thinking this is what I'm going to talk about, but when I get up on a stage, something happens to me. And I know, because I always pray, God, give inspiration to those who are here. Help me say what they need to hear to make them better where they are. Meet them where they are. Use me as a vessel. So I can have all the scripts in the world, but you know what? You're not going to know until you get there. And I don't mean to say that's all you'll come, because those who are going to come are going to come. And those who can't, can. That's okay. But it will be special. And I know that that's just the way it works for me. You will become a better leader because of everyone that'll be in that room. There'll be so many juicy moments. And if you take one thing back with you that helps you be that better leader, it'll be worth it. And I'm going to say, being part of John Maxwell's community and people, it's all about being a better leader. So you're not going to be able to get away from that. It will happen, and happen in spades. I will walk away even being a better leader. All of us will. But for me to say what you're going to get out of it, I don't know yet. We're going to have to all show up to find out, because it will be spontaneous. It will be amazing. And then we should all come back, Stephanie, and have these interviews and let people know what that aha moment was, or something. We can't recreate the whole event, but we might be able to come back and say, you know what, this was that moment. This is what made me it's going to make me a better leader because I met this person, or that person said that. So I think the post party that maybe we'll have would be fun, where we can give them some of those golden nuggets, because I know this is not going to be your last one. I know you've got more of these than you're up your sleeve, and I will be a part of all of them. However that looks, will I just show up and be there and get my own ticket? So whatever, you got me for life, Stephanie.
I love it. Yeah. And I love where you're going with that, right? So that we can keep the momentum going. Okay.
Stephanie, I just want to say, you just put this up here, bringing people together in World That Divides. People.
That was my next question.
Oh,
I wanted you to speak to that. So how do you, and you were probably going there, but how do you bring people together in a world that divides, Aurea, and share your wisdom that you were just about to pour into us? Thank you.
You make me feel like Yoda. I'm so wise. Actually, one of the great things, I started by writing a book, then several books, and then doing my television show, and then doing my Live Your Legacy Summits, and now my Legacy Living by Design women's community. And my podcast. The way I do this is I have the calling to give good news, good people making the world a better place, a platform. My Get Celebritized podcast television show is all about introducing the world to great people, bringing others together. I want to have you back on, Stephanie, as a matter of fact. So God gave me the gift and the training for broadcasting. So I'm using my gifts and talents in the theater world and the TV world to give a microphone to those that most people don't give it to. How we're going to be helping the people in California, my brothers in California, my niece right there in Santa Monica. How are we going to help them? What's happening? Who are the heroes? And I love that the world's gotten a little bit better at that, showcasing the heroes and not always all the tragedy, because so many heroes come out of anything that's tragic, because we see the true humanity of more people being good than the few you're going to see looting and committing crimes and trying to scam people. They're there. But the majority of people, I believe, are good-hearted and want to help. So how I bring the world together is with my broadcasting, with my Get Celebritized show, with my communities, by being on things like this, Stephanie. When you asked me to come on, I know it's going to be inspirational. I'm going to help people know that we all matter, and we can all be of service and all be of help. I get on stages, I get in front of microphones. It all goes back to 1999, when all those tubes were coming out of me, and God said to me, you're going to give hope. So when good microphones are put in front of me, and I'm invited to be on good stages in front of microphones, I say yes. I don't say, how much am I getting paid? It's not about that. It's my mission to give spotlight and give the limelight, which is the name of my television network, Limelight, to shine the limelight on great people making this world a better place, which is what brings us all together. But if they don't get the microphone and we don't spotlight people making the world a better place, you're going to be turning on the news every day or whatever you do, or read the newspaper, or online, realizing, oh my gosh, fires, tragedy, death, shootings, terrorism, and you're not going to see all the good people rallying that are making the world a better place. There are more of them than there are of the bad people.
Yeah. And what are we going to focus on and pay attention to? I love that so much, right? Because it can be, as an empath, and, you are too, and someone who cares deeply about others, when you see all this negative stuff on social media or the news, it can really impact you, just throughout your body and internally. And someone told me years ago, look for the helpers. You will always find the helpers. And that also aligns with what we were talking about earlier in terms of having a fixed versus a growth mindset. With the growth mindset, you're going to be looking for possibilities. With an attitude of gratitude, you're going to be looking for the good. And so what do we want to feed ourselves? And it's not about being a Pollyanna or being an ostrich and sticking our head in the ground and not paying attention.
The opposite.
No, it's the opposite.
The bad.
It's like looking at what is going on that is challenging, negative, evil, whatever you want to call it. And what can you do personally in your sphere of influence to be one of those helpers and be someone who makes a difference and be someone who's part of change and changing things for the better, right? So I love what you just
Thank you. One thing I tell everybody, and I do myself, and it's become my lifestyle since my cancer, is volunteering for nonprofits. Every one of us has a specific, cause. Maybe it's animals, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's Make-A-Wish Foundation, and just spend some time volunteering. It's not all about the money. I always tell people, you may not have $100 to give to a charity, but maybe you have an hour a week. And I promise you that will fill your soul. You will smile more. It does more for you than even does for them. But find your cause, and that can change. Because I've also dealt with some of the parents that have lost children in these gun shootings, these school shootings. A day before, that wasn't their calling, but that day changes their life. Now all of a sudden they're starting nonprofits. They're volunteering for nonprofits. They're trying to make a difference in that. So find your causes, and volunteer. Give of your time, give of your gifts and talents, whatever that is, because that's all part of bringing this world together. So what do you love? Let's start.
It's also a stress reliever, So
if
you think about people who are super stressed out or maybe struggling with depression, which mental, health challenges are a real thing. And thankfully in the last couple of years, we've had more recognition of that and more focus on how do we help people. But one of the great ways to overcome that is to take less of the focus off of yourself internally and put it on to others. And that isn't, you're helping them, which is selfless. But the selfish part of that, which is a good, byproduct, is you suddenly feel better. Yeah. Because now you're focused on giving to others versus, your struggles, challenges, pain, etc. It's incredible. So to me, that means that's what we're meant to do, right? Because you can feel a difference. So before we go, Aurea, I'm going to play just a quick clip so people can hear a little bit more about Live2Lead, and then I'll come back to you and we'll kind of wrap things up. All right.
Perfect.
Oh.
John C. Maxwell is a #1 New York Times bestselling author and Horatio Alger Award winner. 4-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story on platforms like ESPN and the O Network. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose. John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Additional speakers may be international speaker and author Valerie Burton, Chris Robinson, who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide, Malcolm Gladwell, who has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine, or serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson.
Now I'm excited all over again.
Yes. So,
awesome.
I mean, we have an all-star lineup for you guys. We cannot wait to see you in the room February 20th, Atlanta, Georgia at MODEx Studio. The URL is scrolling across the screen below. So that is www.leadingpeopleandteamstosuccess.com/live2lead. You can see some of these videos, hear from our speakers, learn a little bit more about the event there, and you can purchase your tickets. So we did have a holiday special, and that ended. Oh. But if you go on our platform today, you will see a special opportunity to get a discount off of tickets. And so that's going to be $50 off your ticket price. That will only be for the next couple of weeks, and then it goes up to the full ticket price. So definitely register to attend. You don't want to miss it. You are going to get so much value. There's no other event like this anywhere else where you can go get this amount of value for what we're offering for this ticket. So we cannot wait to see you there.
Will you put the link in the description when you post this?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. The link is in the description. Absolutely. Perfect.
Yes. Aurea, last words as we wrap up.
Last words. Well, for the new year, for 2025, I really hope everyone now truly starts gathering together more, getting together, having friends, not all about work either. Sometimes some of you will just come to things like this just to get out of the house, have some friends. You might be doing great and you love working at home, or you have a job. Maybe you're not even an entrepreneur. You work a 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like, but you want to come out and meet some more balcony friends. You want to meet more people just to have in your life, because one of my favorite stories in the Bible is Noah's Ark, because they came 2 by 2 and 4 by 4. God could have easily called those animals just to come on. They're all just 1 by 1, big crowd, but they were paired up. And I believe that's what we need to do as humans too, like what we've been talking about. So in a nutshell, have friends and be a friend, and everything else will blossom from there. Don't try to walk through this life alone, whether it's with your family, your friends, your business, your entrepreneurship. You don't have to be alone. And that's why we're all here, to let you know we want to be your friend. We want to help. We want to pour into you. So pour your cup, because you can't pour out from an empty one. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. So once again, make sure that you grab your ticket and reserve your seat today for Live to Lead in Atlanta on February 20th at MODEx Studio. You are not going to want to miss this. This will be an event that literally will change your life. And
we're going to have a ball.
You may meet the one person who changes the trajectory of everything for you. This is a perfect time, as we are brand new into 2025, to let go of the things that you need to let go of, personally or professionally, and make room for those things that are going to elevate you further in your life, your career, your family, your friendships, in the world. We cannot wait to see you there, Aurea. Thank you so much for taking the time today. And I cannot wait to see you in person. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thanks
for joining us.
Bye, everyone. See you in Atlanta.